They told you enlightenment was something to attain, a distant, glowing summit you'd reach after enough meditation, discipline, or surrender. And so you've waited, studied, sat in silence, chased the stillness, hoping one day it would finally arrive. But what if I told you the moment you're waiting for will never come? What if the very act of seeking is what's keeping you trapped? You see, the mind loves the chase. It thrives on the search, the puzzle, the goal. It tells you that enlightenment is out there, something to be understood, mastered, possessed. But the truth is this: enlightenment isn't something you gain, it's something you lose. You lose the illusion that there's something to seek. You lose the idea that you are separate from it. You lose the belief that one day it will click, because there's nothing to click, there's nothing to find, and there never was. In this series, we're not going to dress it up. No mystic fog, no esoteric riddles, no spiritual storytelling, just the raw truth. This is the last message you'll ever need about enlightenment, because once you truly hear it, there's nothing left to search for. Let's begin. The moment you try to define enlightenment, you've lost it. That's the paradox, the trap, the truth your mind refuses to accept, because your mind wants something it can grasp: a philosophy, a framework, a belief system, a step-by-step roadmap to the infinite. But enlightenment doesn't live inside systems. It doesn't follow your rules. It can't be explained, labeled, achieved, or transmitted, because the moment it's turned into a thing, it stops being what it is. It becomes an idea, a shadow, a mental image of what's already in front of you. Trying to understand enlightenment is like trying to drink the ocean by describing it. It doesn't matter how precise your words are, they'll never taste like water. And enlightenment isn't something you taste, it's what you are. Don't believe me? Look at your own life. Have you ever had a moment when thinking stopped? When the inner dialogue vanished? When there was just this: a sunset, a song, a wave, a breath? No you, no separation, just experience. That moment? That was it. But the mind didn't like that, so it labeled it. It tried to remember it, to recreate it, to possess it. And in doing so, it lost it. Because the moment you seek to grasp it, it slips away. The tighter you hold, the faster it fades. The only way to see it is to stop trying to see it. And that's what we're doing here. We're stopping, we're undoing, we're stripping back every illusion until there's nothing left to hold on to. Not even the seeker. Because here's the secret. The seeker is the illusion, the one who meditates, the one who studies, the one who chases enlightenment, was never real to begin with. That's the trick. That's the lie. And in the next part, we're going to expose it for what it is. We're going to show you how the very act of searching for enlightenment is what keeps you from seeing that you were never separate from it at all. The mind is cunning. It knows that if you stop searching, it has no job left. So it builds a maze, an endless labyrinth of teachings, disciplines, and philosophies, and then tells you that salvation lies at the end. But there is no end. The mind feeds on effort. It survives through struggle. It exists only in movement, from here to there, from now to later. So it invents a spiritual path. It creates a story where you're not enough yet, but you could be, if only you did more. And you believe it. You sit longer, you chant louder, you read more, you retreat deeper. You begin to wear your practices like armor, like proof that you are becoming someone better, someone more spiritual, someone closer to enlightenment. But let me ask you, has any of it ever been enough? Has any experience truly satisfied you? Or did it simply create a hunger for the next one? This is the trap. The mind wants progress, not peace. It doesn't want silence. It wants the illusion of improvement. Even in your spiritual journey, it keeps you moving, always forward, never here. But what if there's nowhere to go? What if this moment, exactly as it is, without effort, without improvement, is the very thing you've been missing? Seeking feels noble, it feels purposeful, but it's just distraction wrapped in devotion. It's another way the ego survives, by pretending it's dying. So it latches onto teachings, follows teachers, performs rituals, thinking, if I keep going, I'll get there. But enlightenment isn't a destination. It's not hidden behind the next method. It's what remains when all methods dissolve, when all effort falls silent, when there is no longer a you trying to get there, because that you was the barrier all along. The seeker must vanish. Only then does the truth appear, not as something new, not as something added, but as what was always here. It doesn't look like revelation. It looks like simplicity. It doesn't feel like achievement. It feels like rest. It's not something you reach. It's what's left when you stop reaching. But this will offend the mind. It wants fireworks. It wants cosmic revelation. It wants to be able to say, I've done it. I've awakened. But there's no one to awaken, no self to enlighten. That's the terrifying freedom. Because once you see that, the whole identity of the seeker collapses. And with it, every question. No more, how do I get there? No more, what comes next? Just this. Unadorned, undeniable, unshakable. And yet still, the mind will whisper, but if I let go completely, what will become of me? Exactly. That's the point. What becomes of you is what was always here, life, undistorted by the illusion of becoming. And when you finally surrender that illusion, a strange thing happens. You don't disappear. You dissolve into what is. And that is the end of seeking. In the next part, we dive deeper into the illusion of practices, the belief that meditation, when misunderstood, leads you to truth. Because real stillness is not achieved. It is revealed when the noise of trying finally stops. Meditation, mantras, breathwork, visualization, fasting, silence, ritual. You've tried them, you've committed, you've endured, all in the name of finding something called enlightenment. And yet, here you are, still searching. Why? Because no matter how many hours you sit in stillness, if your sitting is a strategy to escape the moment, to silence the mind, to achieve enlightenment, then it is not meditation, it is effort, it is control, and control is resistance in disguise. That's the hidden trap no one talks about. The path is useful only until you realize you're already home. But the mind can't accept that. It needs something to do. It needs a method to fix, a target to hit, a technique to perfect. And so meditation becomes another task on a spiritual to-do list, another box to check, another identity to wear. But real meditation is not something you do. It is something that remains when the doing stops. Let's slow it down. Right now, in this moment, can you feel the breath without controlling it? Can you watch the thoughts without pushing them? Can you sit without trying to get anywhere? That's it. Not because it's a means to enlightenment, but because in that moment, the illusion of separation dissolves. You are no longer the one trying to meditate. You are just awareness, The problem arises the second you believe you are meditating to get something. That belief creates a gap. It tells you, I'm here, and enlightenment is over there. And now you're back in the dream, back in the search. The truth is, you've never left awareness. You've only believed you did. Meditation, when seen clearly, is not a bridge. It's a mirror. It doesn't take you somewhere. It shows you where you already are. But because we confuse peace with stillness, we turn meditation into a battle against thought. We say, my mind won't be quiet. I'm failing. No, the thoughts are not the problem. The resistance to them is. Imagine the sky resenting the clouds, trying to push them away, trying to force clarity. The sky doesn't resist. The sky allows. And in that allowance, it remains untouched. That's awareness. That's you, not the thoughts, not the feelings, not the movements of the body, but the space in which it all arises. Real meditation is not trying to find that space. It is realizing you were never outside of it. And the more effort you use to force stillness, the more you reinforce the idea that you are separate from it. That's why so many long-time practitioners remain seekers, because they meditate with a goal. They sit with a subtle expectation. If I do this right, I will awaken. But awakening is not a reward. It is what remains when there is no one left waiting to be rewarded. And so we return again to this moment, to now, to presence without purpose, to awareness without an agenda. The question isn't, are you meditating enough? The question is, are you willing to let go of the meditator? Because as long as there is a you trying to do it right, you are maintaining the illusion of separation. That's the paradox. Meditation, when used as a practice, can help settle the mind. But when used as a strategy, it becomes just another movement of the mind itself. You are not here to become still. You are here to see that stillness has always been here. And this brings us to something deeper. If there is no one meditating, if there is no seeker, then who are you? Let's go further. Strip away your name, your memories, your roles, your past. What remains? The mind will try to answer. It will say, I am this body, I am this experience, I am this perspective. But each of those changes. Each of those is temporary. So again, what remains? If everything you can observe is not you, then who is the one observing? This is not a riddle, it is the doorway. The mind cannot find the answer because the mind itself is the illusion. It's like a wave trying to grasp the ocean. It can't, because it is the ocean. You are not your thoughts. You are not your identity. You are the field in which all of that appears. And here's the terrifying liberation. There is no self. The person you believe yourself to be is a story, a collection of memories, opinions, habits, labels. But that story is not you. It is an activity happening within you. You are the space, the openness, the awareness. And when this is seen, suffering begins to dissolve, not because pain disappears, but because the one who resists it is no longer believed in. The one who says, I don't want this. I shouldn't feel this. I need to be somewhere else. That voice loses its grip, and in its place, silence, stillness, a strange, quiet joy that has no cause. This is what all true meditation points to, not as an achievement, but as the simplest recognition. You are not who you think you are. You never were. You are the awareness that sees all of this, and awareness needs nothing. So the question becomes, are you ready to stop pretending? Are you ready to stop playing the role of the one who's almost there? Because there is nowhere else to be. And in the next part, we will explore the final illusion, the illusion of the self, and what happens when even that dissolves. Not conceptually, not intellectually, but in direct lived experience. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Nothing changes, and yet everything does. The most persistent myth about awakening is that it transforms life into something else. That once the illusion dissolves, you will live in a constant state of bliss, untouched by pain, immune to fear, floating above the world like a ghost cloaked in silence. But real enlightenment is quieter than that, more ordinary, more intimate. You still feel, you still bleed, you still wake up tired sometimes, unsure, human. But the inner commentary is gone. The fight with reality ends. The thoughts still arise, but you no longer believe them. The emotions still come, but they no longer define you. The world still spins, but you are no longer caught in its pull. You've stopped trying to control life, and because of that, life becomes effortless. The illusion of separation was the source of all suffering, and when it falls away, what's left is not numbness, but presence, not detachment, but intimacy, not withdrawal, but clarity. This is why the awakened rarely talk about enlightenment, because it's not something they have, it's what they are, and what they are cannot be described, only lived. The drama continues around them, politics, arguments, ego games, social performance, but they do not feed it. They do not defend a position. They do not need to be right, because the self that would fight has vanished. This is not passivity. This is freedom. You act when needed. You speak when moved. You rest when tired. You say no when it's time. But there is no story behind any of it. No identity to protect, no outcome to control. That's the difference. You become like water, soft, flexible, unresisting, and yet, because of that, you are unshakable. You laugh more, not because life is always funny, but because you no longer take the play seriously. You cry more, not out of suffering, but because your heart is open, tender, available. You love more, not to complete yourself, but because there's nothing left to fear. This is the paradox of awakening. The person is gone, and yet what remains is more fully human than ever, and that humanness is sacred. But here's the part few understand. Even after this realization, the world doesn't stop trying to pull you back in. The system is built on distraction, identity, consumption. It wants you unconscious. It needs you seeking. So the pull toward illusion doesn't vanish overnight. It echoes, it tugs, it whispers old lies. But now, you see it. You see the temptation to believe the thought, to become the emotion, to attach to the form. And in that seeing, you are free, not because the thoughts don't come, but because they no longer own you. This is what it means to be awake in the dream, not to escape it, but to stop being deceived by it. And in that space, you return to life, fully, without resistance, without confusion. You walk through the market, you cook your meals, you send emails, pay bills, pet your dog, and yet, every moment is lit with a quiet fire, because now you see. You see the beauty in the mundane, the stillness in the noise, the divine in the ordinary. This is not a practice. This is not a technique. This is what happens when the one who was practicing disappears. But most won't accept this. They'll hear these words and ask, "Okay, but how do I live this?" And that question reveals it all, because it comes from the part that still wants control, still wants a system, still wants to do it right. But what if there's no right way? What if life itself is the practice? What if every breath is the meditation, every step the prayer, every moment the invitation? No division between the sacred and the simple, no line between spirituality and life, just this. So when the old voice arises, what's next? You smile, because now you know there is no next. There is only now, and if you ever forget, return to that breath, that pause, that space, not to get somewhere, but to remember you were never anywhere else. That is the real enlightenment, not fireworks, not perfection, not escape, just the end of illusion, and in its place, reality, unfiltered, alive, exactly as it is. Welcome home.